年轻政治家布莱克德斯雅莱国会议员接受本刊采访。
Friends and members of the Chinese community, thank you so much for your continued efforts in making our city, our province, our country, and the globe a better place. The Chinese community is one of the oldest communities across the globe. They've endured a tremendous amount and have so much rich culture and stories and food to share with so many. The Chinese community is an integral part of what makes Edmonton and my community of Edmonton-Griesba the best place you can possibly live in. It's because we have a diversity of people, including the Chinese people in our community, that make it so fun and make it so great and make it so vibrant. Thank you so much for continuing to make and build an Edmonton for all of us. Canada's a really young country. It's a day for us to understand the stories, the experience of Indigenous people here in North America, and most particularly here in Edmonton and Alberta. That history is a really painful history. It's a history that has left Indigenous people in a cycle of violence, taken from their home as children and have their parents never to see them again. Many Indigenous children would die and pass away in these systems. What happened as a result of that? When those little kids grow up, they're filled with pain, they're filled with hurt. They want to know who they are, where they come from, and why they were treated like that. And most times they end up on streets. They end up on our streets here in Edmonton. They end up across streets and urban centers across Canada. And we have to figure out how we help them better. They're homeless right now. They're living on the street. We need to have a government that understands that history and offers them a real home. We need to actually help these people. We can't just leave them on the street and expect businesses to keep hiring security to keep moving them around. If it's drugs or addiction, they're going to get help for that. If they're suffering mental health from the impacts of colonization, the impacts of residential schools, they're going to get help. The most important piece of how that helps the community is it allows communities that have a high population of homeless people, it allows those communities to begin recovering to every newcomer that comes to these places. Whether it's Chinese Canadians, whether it's Indo-Canadians, whether it's Ukrainians. When they are in need of help, Canada can be a place where we have the kind of chance to work together, to celebrate each other, to bring in pluralism. Because if we can solve the global question of how we live with one another within Canada, we can show the world what it means to live in peace, to live with dignity, and to respect one another, and to find that our cultures are more important when they're together. And I'll maybe share a teaching I had with one of my elders. He said the weakest forests are the forests that are not diverse. The strongest forests are those that have all kinds of life. Big trees, little trees, medium trees, little grasses, big grasses, small grasses. All kinds of life in one forest makes a strong forest. And I want Canada to be a strong forest. We need people from all over the world to make Canada great, and I think we can do that if we stay committed to diversity, to inclusion, and to pluralism. That's the kind of Canada I believe, and that's because it's the kind of Canada that my ancestors wanted to build.
As one of the youngest MPs in Canada, what advice would you give to young people who aspire to become leaders in their communities or in politics?
Oh, get involved.
Yeah.
Get involved.
Okay.
That's my biggest advice to young people. Young people have the most to gain from getting involved in public policy, in public debate, and in setting the course for our future. It's because they're going to live the longest. They're going to have to experience good or bad decisions the longest. So who stands to benefit the most? It's young people. So we need them to get involved in our system because we need young ideas, we need better ideas. We're faced with really incredible challenges right now. 21st century problems, big problems we never expect before. The emergence of technology, artificial intelligence. We're on the edge and frontier of some of the greatest scientific breakthroughs on our planet. But we need to have people involved so that we can make sure that those technological advances and the changes in our society benefit everyday regular people. My fear is if we don't have regular people get engaged in the system, the ultra elite in our country will make those decisions. And those decisions will be for their exclusive benefit. We have a small group of very wealthy people in Canada. We have 69 billionaires in our country. 20 years ago, we had half of that. 40 years ago, we had just 5 or 6. Things were better when wealth was shared. And we need to have that happen in Canada because things are getting too difficult for too many.
Thank you for your time and this news from CMH News.
我们期待他的独特视角和坚定信念为阿省做出贡献。